So I did an overview of the layout, and I've decided I'll do a series of shorts and just cover some of the sections and explain what I got here. So in El Paso, Texas, I think there's 10 houses in the whole city with basements. So I'm in what's called, affectionately called an El Paso basement, which is a garage. Now, this is the original portion of the layout. I enclosed one stall, a garage. The inside sheetrocked, masonite on the outside, and these vertical slats held masonite enclosure, so I could close this out. So in the original layout design, this was going to be both staging yards for east and westbound. But my wife was really nice to me and gave me the rest of the garage, and so I was able to expand the layout. And so now this is just western staging. So said earlier, it's 11 tracks. There's a total of 9 tracks that represent west staging, which is really Pasco, Seattle, and Portland. And then there's 2 tracks in the back, which will represent JSR staging. And the JSR is the Jamestown Snake River. It's a fictional short line I run. I'll do another video on explaining pretext of the proto-freelanced layout. But last 2 tracks there are on a different power district, and they run out to a different portion of the layout. So like I said, 9 tracks. What I've got is it's its own power district. I've got a booster, a DB150 booster. It's an older booster I've had for a while. And that booster in this power district will just include staging at this point. So the throat is common wired into the power district, and then each track has a switch, so I can turn power on and off. So normally I'd keep power off to all the tracks except the track you're running. And then you see up here, these are kind of just your standard pocket protectors, and they're the car card pouches. So what I've got is I run prototypical trains. So this is train 120, and this is a real train that goes between Portland and Birmingham. It normally runs through the funnel, but because of the layout's a fictional short line that links kind of the Lewiston area down to Boise and then east, all the trains that kind of would funnel through Kansas City on their way up into northern Idaho in the funnel now come through the layout. So I run some of the prototypical trains, and then I've got some made up trains here. So I've got, I run an East-West Amtrak, train 10 and 11, it's a Heartland Express, and that would run between Portland and Seattle, and then down to Kansas City. So run that, and then I run UP trackage rights across part of the layout, which goes between Boise and Eastport, which is up on the border where Union Pacific goes into Canada. So run a UP train on a regular basis on trackage rights, and then the rest of the trains are a mix of prototypical ones and a few fictional ones. So I've run a train between Spokane and Boise and back, and then that will stop at the yard. And then I've got another train that runs between originates in Lewiston, and this one goes to Spokane, and the other staging yard would go to Boise. So those are kind of the trains. All the hooks have a track associated with. I'll cover it in a further video, but I run a Sioux Line train. So in the fictional history of this area, the Milwaukee was not allowed to abandon the western extension, and then Sioux picked it up in the whole process. And so I'll run a Sioux train across layout every other session each way, mainly because I grew up in Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and Sioux Line was kind of prominent in the area. I originally did not model the Minnesota area because I was in the Army and traveled, never back in Minnesota, and doing the research was kind of tough. And so I just kind of decided to Proto-freelance it and add the Sioux to my layout because it's my layout. And then JSR's fictional short line, and there's a, it kind of runs on some of the Camas Prairie trackage into Orofino, and then Camilla and up to headquarters, and then some of the BN lines that are, you know, around Moscow, Pullman, and so forth. So Jamestown, Snake River, fictional short line, mainly added it so I could run Elko power. And so, I'm running a Digitrack DCC system, and then, you know, all the locomotives are decoder equipped. I do not run sound, and right now I don't plan on messing with sound. I think sound and N scale is kind of tough to get running and right, and I don't know if you get the bang for the buck. And then I've got 20 years of investing in decoder equipped locomotives, and I really don't feel like going back and adding sound to all of them. So I'm running Atlas code 55 on the layout. I've got Atlas code 80 in the staging because I had a bunch of previous track from my original layout from high school. And then in the mid 90s, I dabbled in N-track a bit, and I had another layout in the basement of my quarters at Fort Leavenworth. So I just went with the Atlas code 80 at the time. So had a lot of track, didn't want to waste it. So it's in staging, works real good. That little cutout right there is comes off the east-west main line out of Lewiston, and it represents the port of Lewiston and also Port of Wilma. So did not model those. Maybe one day I'll put them separate modules and set them up in a garage. But right now, just have them set as staging. So during an op session, you bring cars in and then you'll pull the cars out. No switching, just grabbing cars. And so there's kind of this nook back here, and one of my next projects is to extend the plywood decking in there a little bit and add another about 3 feet onto each staging track out of the Port of Lewiston and the Port of Wilma, just to be able to put more cars. So that's west staging, and I'll stop this there, and then in the near future I'll post another video, kind of work the way around the layout.